here sitting with Pam Sweetser. God, I did it right. That's
Got it
good.
right.
Of Heritage Camps. Tell you a little bit about Heritage Camps. Heritage Camps for Adoptive Families, Inc. serves as a post-adoption resource for advocate for children and families of diverse heritages. These camps provide an opportunity to share in common experience that fulfills a sense of community and individual identity. It's our hope that every adopted child will leave a Heritage Camp knowing more about who they are, where they came from, and that every member of the family will have better answers and a sense of pride in their adopted child's birth heritage. Pam, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. This is wonderful.
Really cool organization. Tell us how you personally became involved in Heritage
Well,
Camps.
it was very personal for me because my two children are adopted. Our daughter, who is now 26, was adopted from Korea as a baby, and our son, who is 23, was adopted from India. And the Korean Heritage Camp was the first one. And for my daughter, we went as a family and thought it was wonderful. And I started to learn more about it because I knew I was going to have to do something similar for my son from India, because he kept telling everybody he was Korean too, because he loved the whole camp experience so much and that sense of belonging. So we thought, well, no, we should probably get it right.
I imagine what you guys at Heritage Camps are truly trying to solve is this sense of racial identity in a world where racial identity is still important, but when you have adopted children of different races, it can be challenging for them to find their place.
Well, it's like I always say, as adoptive parents, believe me, we go through a lot to get those kids. And we love them and give them absolutely everything we possibly can, just like any parent. But what we can't give them is their cultural heritage, because we don't share it with them often. And it's a big piece missing in their lives. One of our board members says it's like our adopted children or adopted people have chapter 1 missing. And what Heritage Camp tries to do then is write that chapter a little bit for them, as far as helping them identify with where they came from and who they are.
And you guys are an all-volunteer organization serving over 1,000 kids a year. That's a really remarkable
Actually,
number.
yeah, more than about 900 families.
900 families.
So boy, I don't know, that equates to probably about 4,000 kids.
Geez, that's remarkable.
From age of 3 to 18.
That's remarkable. And tell me, as part of the camp, take me through a typical camp. I think it's a 5-day.
It's a 4-day camp, and it's kind of remarkable, I think, because it's a family camp. There are other camps around the country for adopted children to go on their own. But I feel very strongly that this is a family experience, that everyone in the family needs to get an understanding of where that kid came from and who that child is, and share it with them and celebrate it with them. So the whole family comes to camp, and we have lots of fun family activities, great food at every camp that relates to the culture of the camp, and we have evening activities and fun family things. But the crux of the camp is during the day, each group of kids is separated out by age or by grade, and they and the parents have their own workshops, and they go and learn about that culture, and they're with other kids like them, and the teachers, their counselors, who are also all volunteers, wonderful community people, are their role models. So they get to see themselves in other people that are adults and have grown up, and they can feel like,
And not to mention that as an adult, you get to go back to camp.
And then as a parent, you
Which
get
is
to go
something
back
I
to
think
camp.
that we could all agree
And
is
it's a lot of fun that way. And there's a lot of support for the parents too. I mean, there's some trials and tribulations with adoption. There's a lot of joy, but there's some trials and tribulations.
Well, I have a friend that in a similar situation adopted some children from, I believe it was from Korea, and they struggled with trying to teach their kids their cultural identity.
Gee,
they wanted them
hope
to
they
be
come to
proud
camp.
of it. I hope that they did as well. If not, I will introduce them
Tell
to the
them,
organization.
yes, exactly.
So Colorado Gives Day, a very important day for Colorado nonprofits. Talk a little bit about what you hope to achieve today and what it is that this money would go for, should people donate.
Well, our goal today is $20,000. And I know I've seen some of the organizations here today, and certainly a lot that are going with Colorado Gives Day, that are probably wanting to raise a lot more. And hey, if we do, that'd be wonderful. But our goal is $20,000. as of a few minutes ago when I left home, we were almost halfway there, and it's not even noon, so that's exciting. But we need to keep going, and the reason for that is because we are all volunteer. We're a small staff, just 3, and we have lots of programs and things we want to accomplish, and we try to keep the fees for the families reasonable so that they can afford to come to camp. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to price it out of range for families, because again, the whole family comes. For many families, it's their family vacation in the summer, period, every year, which I think is amazing. But we need to supplement those fees because they don't begin to cover the cost. So every year we need to raise, in addition to the program fees, $200,000.
Oh. I want to ask you one question, and just because you've been around this community and you understand the Colorado nonprofit community, right now I'm looking down and it looks like we're over $6.5 million raised so far out of Colorado Gives Day.
Pretty amazing thing.
It's pretty remarkable being part of this nonprofit community. I think it is a community here in Colorado. I think that people do want to help each other and be successful. I mean, do you kind of feel that this is one of the events that galvanizes that sense of community?
Oh, I think it's an amazing event. It's fantastic. And I think that one thing I like about it is our families come from all over the country and even the world to come to camp. And they're able to give from, you know, Chicago or LA or New York. And when this first came out, I was worried about that because we do have so many families. Probably 30% of our families come from out of state because we're sort of one of the few games in town as far as this sort of experience. And I was kind of nervous a Colorado Gives Day would mean, but no, you could donate from anywhere in the world, literally. And I think that's really fantastic.
That's amazing. People that want to get involved in your organization, where do they find out more information? How can they apply to go to camp?
Well, we have a website, heritagecamps.org, pretty simple. And there's lots of information on the website about each individual camp. We have 11 different camps. We have 10 international and cultural camps. And then we just started 2 years ago a domestic adoption camp for families who've adopted right here.
Sure.
And we realized over the years that the kind of support network that adoptive families get at our other camps, domestic adoptive families need that too.
Need the same thing.
So we don't have the cultural piece in there, but adoption is a culture in itself. It really is its own culture in a way. And so we provide that for those families, and it's just been wonderful. So they can read all about that, and then there's certainly a place where you can, registration doesn't open until March, but you can get on the mailing list, and you'll get all that information about registration and be able to sign up.
And that's at heritagecamps.org, and if somebody who is thinking about making a donation, we'd strongly encourage them to do that.
Please.
Where can they search for you?
Same place.
On the same place.
And Colorado Gives Day or the Community First Foundation.
Excellent.
We have a great profile there.
Well, Pam, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Best of luck on Colorado Gives Day.
It's great.
And I want to remind everybody to come by this evening, come by our studios, check us out at icosa.co. You can register for our celebration event. It'll be happening here, and I believe that there will be food, and if I know the rest of this crew, there might be a glass of wine or two.
That might be nice.
Yeah, as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chris.